Okay, we now welcome on a man who needs no introduction, but we'll introduce him anyway. It is the greatest quarterback of all time to never receive a single MVP vote, Super Bowl winner, Russell Wilson.
Mr. Unlimited.
Mr. Unlimited. He has a podcast. It is called Danger Talk. It is actually new episodes out today. We're going to run this tomorrow. It's Wednesdays they come out. He has Dwayne Wade on the show, not to brag. Let's start there, Russ. Do you think it's a little unfair that you decided to start doing podcasts because we don't show up to the football field on Sunday trying to throw touchdowns? You're kind of encroaching on our space here.
I'm not encroaching. I'm just going to take it over, man. I'm just going to take it over completely. Pardon my take, but I'm going to, but no, it's been fun, man. It's been fun to be able to do the podcast, and we've had some amazing guests on Danger Talk. It's been pretty cool, and just throughout the season, I think to be able to talk about legacy, to talk about how people come through things and how they overcome. We had Shaq on the first episode talking about, his career and his, relationship, obviously, with Kobe and different things. We had John David Washington, the famous actor, Denzel Washington's son, and how he played in the NFL. We've had a lot of amazing. We've had a lot of amazing guests along the way. Candace Parker came on. We've had Chris Paul. We've had Joe Montana was amazing, talking about his relationship with Jerry Rice and kind of comparing that, me and DK Metcalf and that relationship. And we've had a lot of amazing other people too as well. We had Mike Tyson right the week before his fight, and obviously this week we're having Dwayne Wade, and I'm excited about Dwayne because he's one of my favorite athletes. Obviously we're number 3, both of us.
Yeah.
So it's been a blast to talk about that, and I'm actually about to do that right after this.
Love it. So go download it right now. Danger Talk.
Do you have any questions for us? I know you want to take over our jobs one day, but as you're on the up and coming list, maybe we can mentor you a little bit now that you're new to the game. You have any tips, any things that you want to learn about the podcast game? Do you do your own ad reads?
Yeah, I do my own ad reads. I do all that. For me, the biggest question I would have, man, is just the consistency that you guys do it at. I think that's key. In the podcast space, just like anything, to be successful, you have to have consistency. So for me in particular, I've been doing it every week. Once a week. Obviously, I got a day job. That I got to do. So, I spend a good 2 hours. But I think what has made y'all's podcast so successful, because I think that's the kind of success that everybody wants to have in anything you do.
I'd say the success of our podcast is based on being just a little bit smarter than people think, but a lot dumber than what we should be. Like, we both should be a lot smarter than we are, but we're not. We're very, very dumb at the core, but we're also just a tiny bit smarter than people let on, so we can surprise everyone every now and then.
I'd also say that having a strained relationship with DK Metcalf on this side of the table has really been a boost to our ratings recently. I know that maybe your relationship is too good with him. Maybe that's why you're back there in what I think was it 8th or 9th when it debuted? That's pretty good. That's top 10.
Yeah,
that's not bad. Not elite.
Well, listen. I think first of all, I'm a little jealous. I think I need a new nickname. I mean, I don't know. Mr. Unlimited's pretty good, but I'm not sure if I can rival Big Cat over there. And I think the other thing is that you get that long hair. Maybe I need to wear some cool glasses and roll. I think that's where me and DK got to make sure we step up our game.
Do you watch the Mr. Unlimited video and cringe?
No, I laugh actually the fact that I did that. But it's a whole inside joke, It's a whole it's a whole inside joke. And
explain it. You got to explain it, because we watch it and we're like, whoa, what's going on here, Russ? What's going on? So explain it for the people.
I think Mr. Unlimited comes from this idea that you have to in the midst of a season, in the midst of life, you have to be able to, first of all, have fun and joke around. But I think also, too, you kind of got to have this killer instinct, no matter what you do. You kind of got to have this other side of you. This is kind of the other side of me, Mr. Unlimited, just that mentality, that anything's possible, that, I feel like I can do anything and overcome anything. And so that's where Mr. Unlimited comes from. It comes from this idea that, no matter what it looks like, no matter what anybody says, you can't waver, and I think even right now, it's we're battling, we're fighting for the playoffs and everything else, and the mentality that you can overcome anything and be ready to roll. And each week, you gotta be unlimited.
That's
baby.
right.
Unlimited.
Yeah,
Mr. Unlimited.
I love Mr. Unlimited. I think anybody that laughs at Mr. Unlimited, they're just telling on themselves for not being unlimited.
They're limited.
I'm unlimited.
Yeah, they're limiting
and all
themselves.
the haters are limiting themselves by saying they're not unlimited.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for that.
Do you
Yeah.
remember the first time that you maybe in the NFL where you're like, ooh, I can do this, like this, I belong here? Maybe when Mr. Unlimited first like showed up, if it was a game or specific situation. Because I actually think I know the moment, but I want to hear what you think.
There's two moments. I think, first of all, I've always felt like, I could play and just get an opportunity. I think obviously everybody said I was too short, too small, couldn't play, but I think getting the opportunity, obviously, and starting right away from my first game, and I remember taking a rib shot from Dockett in my first game against Arizona Cardinals. I was like, dang, and he goes, welcome to the NFL, Playboy. So that was on 4th and 14, and we got a first down to my man, Charlie Martin. But, the first time that I really realized, okay, you know what, I'm ready, was the New England Patriots game. We played at home against obviously Tom Brady and their team, and they were really good then. We came from behind. I think we were down, 13 or 12 points or something like that. And I ended up hitting Sidney Rice for a game-winning touchdown. He ran a beautiful route, and that was a big game for my career. And then the other moment that was really huge was going against the Chicago Bears.
There it is.
In Chicago, Soldier
Overtime.
Field, which I love Soldier Field because I actually played at Wisco.
I was at that game
there once before.
Northern Illinois fan threw a full beer at my back after you put like a 50 burger on him. That game that was the end of Brian Urlacher's career, because I remember in that overtime you were running around in the pocket, and I was like, oh fuck, Urlacher looks a lot slower than I've ever seen him, and it was mostly because you looked faster. But that game, I was like, yup, Russ is like, it's crazy that he lasted the third round. He's going to be good for a very long time.
Yeah, that was a big game because we went, we were balls on the 1 yard line, 2 yard line. I think we went 98, 99 yards, something like that, to take it into overtime. And then we got the ball back, and we just took us right down the field. And that was that defense was arguably the best, one of the best defenses in football, top 3 defense in football at the time. And they were on a hot streak, winning all these games and stuff. And so that moment, and I remember that play. Urlacher still brings it up to this day. He's anytime he sees me, he's like, "You ended my career."
Yeah, no,
I realized I was getting too old. But I think that was a big moment, just going to that hostile environment. I miss those environments, man. Just the fans, everybody being there. But yeah, so that was a key moment for me.
Yeah, it's got to be a big difference, especially in Seattle, not having the crowd around. The 12s, screaming at the top of their lungs. You get Michelle Tafoya down on the field like she can't hear what Al Michaels is saying up in the booth. Like, we miss that at home, too. Is there, like, one particular fan that you just can't wait to see, like the Seahawk? Do you miss the Seahawk?
Yeah, Blitz, you mean? I think the thing that I miss the group of fans, I miss the fans in the Hawks Nest.
Yeah.
That's probably the fans that are probably the rowdiest, the craziest. They're at the one end in the end zone, and it's always interesting watching other teams, other quarterbacks get terrified when they're going into that side of the field. It's like they can't hear anything, and it's a really, really special end of the field where we've made so many key plays over our careers.
Yeah. Do you realize, as a Seattle Seahawk and playing in every Seahawk game, how crazy your games are and how little they make sense? Because to us at home, there's nothing like a Seahawks game. You guys basically play a different sport, but for you, I would have to assume that that's just normal. That's how every game is. It's like, there's going to be 2 safeties. It's going to go to overtime and maybe 1 or 2 kicks off the upright.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get stressed out by the Seahawks games. I think every game seems to stress out a Seahawks fan. We usually come out on top, though. We usually find a way to win them all, and unfortunately, we had a chance last week. We didn't get to win that one, but I think I think the key is just, for me personally, I always try to stay neutral. I have a company called Limitless Minds, actually, and I'm Mr. Unlimited, of course, but it's one of those things that you got to stay neutral. Can't get too high, too low. There's a lot. They have good players too on the other end. They have good teams and good. So you got to remain calm. And in the midst of the games, you got to be able to win the close games, the crazy matchups, and we've had a lot of those this year. We had a lot last year, and to be able to find a way, I think that's just kind of where I feel like I'm at best. I'm best when we can find a way at the end.
Do you ever surprise yourself though? Because I'm personally surprised when I think there's a few quarterbacks in the league, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, yourself, Brady in his prime, where it was like when you're down late, it's not even a question. It's like, oh, okay, like that Vikings game this year. It's like, well, yeah, Russell Wilson's going to take him down the field. They're going to score a touchdown. Do you feel that? You're like, it doesn't matter how much time, I got this?
Yeah, I think that, the key is making sure the other team knows it too.
Yeah, I think they do.
I think that that's when you got something. You got a little, I don't know. I think you got to have a clutch gene.
Yes.
I think you got to have this clutch gene. You got to have that DNA where it runs through your veins and it runs through your team. It runs through the emotion of the game, and it runs through the other team's mind too as well. I think that's you strike fear in another team when they know, okay, the game's on the line. 9 times out of 10, this may not work out for us if I'm the other team. That's what they're thinking, I feel like, and that's what you want. That's what you want to be able to. It's like Michael Jordan or certain Derek Jeter comes up to the plate, and there's this, the guy on second base. You feel like he's always going to knock him in. I feel like that, every time I walk up to the plate. I feel like that every time I walk up to the field. I feel like, even, every time there's a chance, and that's a good feeling to have and to know, and there's history behind it. It's not just hoping and wishing. I mean, I think there's a lot of history behind that, and so, I think that you want to continue that. You want to continue to have that vision, that continue to have that feeling, and that goes to the thought process throughout the game.
That's got to be an awesome feeling. Now, you are a very humble guy. You're a gracious winner, but is there ever a time in the back of your head when you dagger a team late? And you get off the field, and Michelle Tafoya comes up, and you're saying, God is great, and my teammates and all this. Do you ever want to just be like, I'm just fucking better than everyone? Like, that's what I would do every now and then. Just drop it.
I'd at least think
listen, like I know that God is great. I know that my teammates are great. But let's be honest. I won this game because I'm fucking awesome.
No, I think, man, this game is the greatest team sport there is. I was telling somebody that the other day, and you can be as good and great as you want to be, but it's a collective effort, right? I mean, I think, basketball, you can have other great players around you, but at the end of the day, you get the ball, you get to shoot one-on-one against somebody, and in baseball, you walk up to the plate against that pitcher, and he throws you that fastball, and you hit it out. I mean, that's you recognizing it a lot of the times, and tennis and golf, but football, man, you're in the huddle with 10 other guys, and it takes everybody, to do it. And I think that's what I love about this game is that we all put the preparation and we all put the work in, and when we win, it's because of everybody, together. And when we lose, I always feel like it's on me to make sure I find a way to win. And I think that's just kind of the mentality you got to have at this position, at this game, and to do it for a long time, with success.
All right, but you're fucking awesome. You just humbly answered me. You just did the same thing.
I heard you say something earlier when you were talking about like the look that your opponent gets when they know that you're about to do something to them. I think you are a humble guy. I think sometimes it's beneficial for you also to put out the image of being super humble after a game because you don't want to give another team bulletin board material, right? You don't want to say anything bad about anybody in the NFL. Everyone's trying real hard. But I can tell with you, like there's something about you where you enjoy putting other people in an uncomfortable situation where they know that you're about to do something to them.
I think this game it's not about bulletin material in terms of in terms of just why you give other people praise or why you talk about why people are. I think it's just truth. I think there's some great players in this league and great opponents I have to go up against every week, and this game is the hardest. It's the hardest game to win consistently at because it's so many factors, right? There's so many things, and we've been fortunate to win a lot, for the Seahawks over the years. I think the thing for me though is as you kind of mentioned, and I think that's really important. It's to know that there's a marriage, there's a feeling, there's a connection between your mentality, number one, your team's mentality, and confidence as a whole, and then also the fear that you establish for other teams, and I think that at the end of the day, I always tell myself that they already know what's going to happen. They already know what's going to happen, and sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. But dang, man, sure enough, I feel like 9 times out of 10 it's going to go that way, and in a positive way. So that's from experience, but it's also from just belief.
Going into the Super Bowl against the Broncos, one of the all-time butt whoopings in the Super Bowl. I bet on the Broncos
yeah,
too. Yeah,
I had a
that was
Super Bowl
tough.
party, bet on the Broncos. We all did.
Thank you for actually putting us out of our misery early, so
I
we
was
didn't
like,
have to
dude,
stick
how
around.
how could they ever stop this Broncos offense?
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
so good.
Peyton Manning, the greatest of all time. Going into that game, did you know that it's going to be a bloodbath, that you're just going to smoke them, or was it, in the locker room, was it kind of up in the air?
Well, we felt like we were prepared. Our defense was unbelievable. Our defense was unbelievable. I thought offensively we were playing, really well, and we were connecting, and just we felt like we had the best preparation. And honestly, sometimes it's better when you don't even know what it's like. Meaning as a collective team, we hadn't been to a Super Bowl. I think there's only maybe one or two coaches that had ever been to a Super Bowl, ever played in one or been in one. Or the rest of the guys, though, we had never been to one. I the year before I went to go watch. It was the 49ers, versus the Ravens, and I went to go watch that game. And I did, I think it was CBS who did that game or somebody who, and I got to do the pregame show and all that. But I was sitting there, and I wanted to get there, the 3 hours before the game, as if I was playing it, to see how guys warmed up, to see what the minutes were like in between at halftime. Obviously, that halftime that in New Orleans got shut down, and it was even an hour-long halftime, and it was the whole process. And so I was preparing beforehand, and I think going into the Super Bowl, we felt like we could get there that year, and obviously we did. And but we felt like we were ready. We knew that we were ready. We knew that when we walked off the bus, it was time for our defense to dominate. It was time for our offense to go make our plays and do our thing. And we got Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, and we got guys making plays all over the field. I remember Percy Harvin returning that kickoff return too as well, when we were really separating the game, and Jermaine Kearse made his plays, and it was just a great game. We really made some really special. Doug Baldwin made some sweet plays as well. So it was one of those nights. And I remember that moon sitting up there. It was supposed to snow that night. It didn't snow at all. The next morning around 6 a.m. it snowed like crazy in New York. But that night, I remember just that process of the coin toss and the feeling, and it was a good night for sure.
All right, so bad memory time. We're good friends with Luke Wilson, who was on that Seahawks team that lost in the Super Bowl. He described the locker room afterwards. Now, you're a positive guy. You're a positive energy guy. Did you even allow yourself to be negative for a minute and be like, maybe kick a trash can, throw out a swear word, or were you like, we'll get him next year?
I think in that moment I was you get heartbroken, because the whole year we had just won a Super Bowl. We go back to the Super Bowl. We win all these games, and you get there to the end, and we were up in that game with 6 minutes to go. We felt like we were going to win the game. Some guys got injured on and everything else along the way on defense, and they ended up coming back. They made some key plays, and then we get the ball with 2:01. We march down the field. Marshawn, I can give a double move to Marshawn. He catches the ball. He goes all the way down the field. We get down the field again. Jermaine makes that crazy catch. Then we try to run the ball in, and then obviously they make their play. And in that moment, you get pretty heartbroken because you've spent all this time, all year, all season, to win it all. And unfortunately, it didn't work. And so for me, there was no other option except for to think about the moment in that process. Think about, dang, like how could that happen in that moment? And then you have to do the press conference right after, which is a terrible thing to have to do. But you got to go do that and face the world and talk about what happened. And that's the weight of playing quarterback. That's the good thing about playing quarterback, but that's also the weight of it. Is you got to carry everything on your shoulders, and I think you got to carry the conversation, you got to carry the pain, you got to deal with it. And much is given, much is required. And I think that's what I've understood at a young age. I think that's what I understood early on when we won a Super Bowl and got to hold up the trophy, and also when we didn't win it. And my whole career, and to be honest with you, you got to make a decision of what you're going to do. For me, I had to make a decision right there in that moment. Am I going to let this destroy, ruin, mess up my career, or am I going to make a change? And that's where really, the mindset part of everything and how my mindset was, and that's why I created Limitless Minds with my brother and Trevor Moad and DJ is that because the mindset of being neutral, the mindset of overcoming, the mindset of coming through, the mindset I'm not going to let one play define my career was, to be honest with you, changed my career. I think it changed my career for the better in terms of how I overcome obstacles, how I come through situations, how I get ready and be fully prepared. And I think, that was a critical moment, and I think that's where that alter ego kind of comes up, a little bit. Is you got to be a little bit unlimited when everybody else is telling you you're not this, you're not that.
Yes,
that's okay. I'm gonna prove I'm gonna prove you wrong, and so, I think that's kind of been. I don't know if I want to say the chip on my shoulder, but I think that's been, over the past 6 years or so of my career, that's been my drive every day to know that, every day I go about my business, every day I go about this opportunity, is another great opportunity to show up and to show people why.
So I appreciate that because I do think you're genuine about it, and having that drive I would have just quit and felt bad for myself and complained about it for the rest of my life.
And that's a real option. I mean, people
yeah, no, I
take
it all the time.
That's a real option, and it can really mess people up. I think players up, and I think it can affect players when you get to the championship and it doesn't go your way. It's real. It can really mess you up, but I wasn't going to let it affect my mindset. I wasn't going to let it affect my career. I was actually going to use it to catapult my career.
So with all that said, though, be honest. How many times just randomly in, let's say, a given year, does it just pop in your head and you're like, damn, we should have run? Just you don't have to say it
now.
Yeah, well, no, it's not holding you back. You're Mr. Unlimited, but honest, like just maybe just driving down the highway randomly in the middle of August, and it's just like boop pops in your head because that happens to everyone. How many times?
It doesn't really pop in my head honestly anymore.
Come on, Russ.
I think the first year it pops in your head almost every day, but I think now. For me, I've trained my brain every day to know and to know that, man, stuff's gonna happen, man. It's a tough journey, and the role that I got to play, the position I got to play, there's gonna be stuff that happens along the way. So I don't think about it. I know the only time I think about it is when someone either asks me, or honestly. If when you watch the Super Bowl, they'll show a clip and like, all right, thanks, I get it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you do have a great mind.
But I also have images, around my house, around my office, and stuff like that where I'm holding the trophy. That's the image that pops in my head.
Okay.
Is that image, and so that image reigns way more true than the other one.
So, given your background, what you've been through, did you pull DK aside after he fumbled the ball at the 1, and you were like, hey man, we all screw up inside the 2-yard line sometimes. It gets better.
DK is a guy, man, who never wants to mess up. He always wants to do his best thing. He always wants to make a play for us, and he always does. And so, I think he's in the second year that play, that we both said it never again. That won't ever happen again. And so, I think that for me that it's part of the process, man. I think sometimes you have to have these lessons so you can learn.
Yeah. Did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I played basketball. I played baseball. I was a multi-sport guy. I think my basketball game, I was I thought I was Steph Curry back in the day, but I really wasn't. I was more like I played more defense and I was a good passer though. You want a no-look pass? I'm giving it to you. I give you that no-look pass, full court bounce pass, one skip and a dunk. But
I believe that.
Yeah, but my shooting game, I was below average. Let me tell you this. My sister, she came out my second year in the NFL, the year we won the Super Bowl, and she came out and she was, I don't know, she was probably like 14 years old. And just to give a little background now, she was a McDonald's All-American. She's plays on the number one team in the country at Stanford, the number one team in the country right now, girls basketball team. And so she can play. I'll just give you a little background. But so anyways, she comes out here. We go to the local gym at the Bellevue Club, and everybody's watching us, and we're just shooting around. But then now everybody comes in. We're playing one-on-one pickup. This is right before Christmas. And if she beats me. She breaks me down so bad. She beats me and then rubs it in, talking all this trash in front of me. I felt like I was playing against Gary Payton or something. And she's doing all this trash talking and everything else. So, I haven't played her since.
Yeah. So no, definitely stay away from that.
So we do know that you're a baseball player. It's only brought up like it's that and then the Super Bowl play that gets put on TV every single time that we watch you. when you're out there on Sunday. But obviously you're a baseball player. I have to ask, who's a better baseball player, you or Tim Tebow?
Ooh, good question. I'm gonna go with me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with me. I can turn a mean double play, Tim. I don't know though. I mean, I haven't seen him play though, but I think that if I played, if I really had focused on baseball, out of high school, I was gonna be a top pick out of high school, and then I had to end up turning it down. I still got drafted late, but I always feel like baseball is actually my best sport.
Really?
And
That's a fun
then I went to college.
Wait, hold on.
He would have won an MVP in baseball.
Hold on. This is always the cop out. The
Yeah,
professional athletes who
check this out.
I'm one of the best
man,
quarterbacks ever, but my real good sport was baseball.
Well, let me tell you why. So when I was in high school, I was I was a top player in the country, one of the top players in the country, and everything else. I went to area code games, the East Coast game, and all that. And one of my teammates was actually Madison Bumgarner. So we played in the same team and stuff like that. At one point, but baseball was actually my love. I played that since I was young. And that was probably the sport that was probably one of my best sports. And for me, what happened is that I ended up going to NC State. I get there, and football is so demanding. You do it every day. I had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I had to go to football practice in the spring, go to train, then go to classes, then come back to baseball. So I never really got to fully blossom in my baseball career. But when I was younger, I felt like, out of high school and stuff, that baseball was actually my best sport. I felt like I could play football, but I guess God had different plans for me, and now I get to spin the rock and throw deep go balls to our guy DK Metcalf.
Oh man,
your deep ball is something because we talk about it on the show all the time. With DK, it looks a little bit different. I feel like you like to drop back and you throw that sky ball, the one that comes down with like a little bit of rain still on it.
Dropping a bucket.
A bucket. And whether it's Doug Baldwin, one of the Locketts, you have all these receivers that are really good at catching those types of passes. Has there been a guy that you've worked with where you throw your standard Russell Wilson deep ball that just can't get the hang of having the ball come down from basically straight up in the air?
I think most guys can catch it pretty good. DK's pretty phenomenal. Tyler Lockett's probably one of the best trackers of the ball. I always tell him he's like Kenny Lofton. Kenny Lofton, the baseball player, he could track anything. DK's got that Ken Griffey Jr. Unbelievable ability to go track a ball too as well. So those two guys are really special. I think the biggest thing though is that when the ball's in the air, do guys panic or not? And I think that I try to put it, in the movie Sandlot, where you just put your hand up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think about just, hey, put your hand up. Let me throw it to your hand, and only where you can catch it down the field. And so, I think the biggest thing that you'll notice in practice is, or early in the training camps and all that, is who's really great at tracking the ball. And those guys are, probably some of the best, guys who've ever been able to track the deep ball and make plays.
That's got to be a pretty cool moment to, like, when you release one of those deep balls. Do you catch yourself just watching the ball being like, this is almost your zen place? If you're not getting hit, but you're watching the ball and then they catch it and score a touchdown, that's got to be like you're sitting back like, oh my God, I'm that good. I would do that all the time.
Well, one of my favorite moments in football, it's like kind of like hitting a home run. When you hit a home run, you don't even feel it on the bat. The ball you just know it's out. Well, on a deep ball, and we don't get to experience this year because there's no crowd, but one of my favorite things when you're playing on the road and everybody's booing you, everybody's screaming, and the whole crowd noise and all that stuff's going on, and then you got a guy going down the sideline, you launch this 60-yard, deep go ball, and the whole crowd goes,
yeah.
And there's this pause, a moment in time where the ball's spinning down in the air, and it's boom, he catches it, and you can hear the ball hit the guy's hands and say, boom. And he catches it, the transition scores. That's like one of the greatest feelings. But all I want to know is, PFT, if you can catch a deep ball. I mean, I think you got to come out to one of these off-season workouts, you two guys.
Yeah, I'm faster than
PFT.
He'll guard DK.
I'm faster than DK.
You think you're faster than DK? Yeah.
I know I'm faster.
He is.
We
You
raced.
beat him in a race.
We raced in this hallway right outside here. We got the
Yes.
video and everything. I'm faster than him.
I'm going to have to
Let's
tag
see
DK in this whole
God
podcast
damn.
because
I'm
you're
gonna-
talking shit now.
I'm going to have to – well, I benched more than him until I got my shoulder injured, but I could probably get back up there. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be glad to come out there and put the clamps on him. I don't think he could get around me.
No chance.
Big Cat, you think you can throw it further than me?
No, I'm actually, if you invite us out to camp, I'm literally going to spend the entire time looking for Pete Carroll's twin. So he has a twin, right? Have you seen his twin brother?
yeah, he does kind of look like him.
Okay, thank you. And then the plot thickens.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, his
track him
brother.
down.
People, I've been looking for Pete Carroll's twin for a long time. I feel like he's got a twin, and he's kept it under wraps.
Yeah, well, he's got a brother that does
Looks
kind of like
a lot like him,
looks
Russ.
looks like an older version of Pete.
Like a twin,
Russ,
exactly.
This is what you need to take to heart when you're trying to figure out how to build your podcast up. Just invent something and then just never let go of it. Like Big Cat's convinced.
That wasn't a no, by the way.
That
Just
Pete
so
Carroll's
everyone
got-
knows.
You don't think I did invent something though? I created Mr. Unlimited.
Mr.
That's
Unlimited.
true.
Well, no, that's a mindset. That's
that
a real
wasn't
thing.
a no. That was not a no. You're like, you giggled and you're like, yeah, you know what? He does look a lot like him. He says he's older, but haven't seen a birth certificate. Interesting.
He actually does have a I think it's his brother.
Yeah.
That looks pretty identical.
Exactly like him.
Older version of Pete.
Yes, like a twin. All right, I know I talked about bad moments, so you don't think about them, but I do. The Rose Bowl, okay? The Rose Bowl. So I was, remember in Crossroads, Bone Thugs and Harmony, the video where, like, the soul leaves the body? I had the reverse. There's a piece of my soul is up at the top row of the Rose Bowl after the ball wasn't clocked. It's just there. It's there forever. I was at that game. What happened? You clocked it like that. I think we got screwed.
We 100% got screwed.
Okay, thank you.
And the thing is that the ref started whining his arm. We got the ball all the way down there. In college, the clock pauses.
Right.
Once you get down the field, so the clock pauses once you get the first down, or whatever. So we were all ready. We had a pro offensive line. So we had, Peter Kahns. We had Travis. We had Travis Frederick. We had all these guys who had played in the league. Ricky Wagner and all these pro guys who actually still play in the league now. And so we were all ready to roll. We had been through the situation. We were ready to go. Boom, the ball's down there. And there's 2 seconds on the clock. So the clock doesn't start until the ref blows his whistle. So we're all ready. We talked to the ref. Hey, we're gonna clock it. We're gonna clock it. Okay, we're all ready to go. And as soon as he blows, and me and Peter, as soon as he blows the whistle, we're gonna clock it. So he goes, boom, and we clock it. Boom, we clock it. Okay, clock the ball. There's no way 2 seconds around the clock. The problem was, obviously, the ref, who's behind us, starts winding his arm early, boom, and then blows the whistle. So that's what they're seeing up top. So we lose a full second, game over. We felt like we were going to win that game too, and
Totally.
that was a great matchup. That was one of my favorite games of my career, just the back and forth, playing the Rose Bowl. The best thing about the Rose Bowl, when you're sitting there, never forget sitting next to Nick Toon. I just throw him a touchdown in the right corner of the end zone, and me and him are sitting there, and I'm talking to Paul Chris on the headset and talking to Nick, and I'm sitting there, and I said, "Hey Nick, Coach Chris, look at the stands. Look at the stands." I said, and they go, "Yeah, what about it?" I said, "It's amazing. If you look down the left, look down the right, the goalpost, right down the middle of the goalpost, you split one side of the field, it's all red. The other side of the field, it's all green. It's like, and the sun's just going down, and it's, the golf course, the field feels like a golf course. It feels like a par 5, right on the green, and it's just a special moment, special place. And so I'll never forget that game. But one of the coolest parts about that game is actually, after the game, and I do my press conference, and everybody's asking me how you're going to use this. I said, I'm going to be able to use this one day, and hopefully I'll be able to win a Super Bowl because of it. And unfortunately, we've been able to win a Super Bowl and all that. But also too is after that press conference, I'll never forget walking down the steps. He still had my cleats on, and at the time we were an Adidas team, obviously at Wisconsin. And sure enough, Phil Knight, comes out, right behind, right in front of me. And he goes, "Oh man, it's a nice game, Russell. I want to make you a Nike athlete one day. I just want to let you know, and when you're ready to play in the NFL and everything else, and I think you're going to be a Nike athlete, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time." And that was a cool, Phil Knight walking into him, coming around the gate, right before I get on my golf cart, and so that was a special moment for me. I'll never forget. And I was a college kid, and just knowing that I'd already graduated. This was my last game of my career, and all that, and it's time to go play in the pros.
I'm happy that was a special moment for you. I think I got blackout drunk and had to get a flight back to Chicago at 6 a.m. the next day. So I'm happy that you were happy.
He got a $20 million endorsement from Nike.
And I puked a bunch of red wine. I remember there was
a taxi cab.
The beer stand had a huge line, so I switched to wine in the second quarter, and I must have drank 12.
Well, how about this? How about this, Big Cat? How about I get you a signed Wisconsin jersey from me just to make it up to you?
Okay, done. We'll put it up in the studio.
All right,
and then I'll think about the Rose Bowl. I'll think about you not clocking it in time. actually you getting screwed every single time I look at it. But yes, let's do it.
Can you sign Russell Wilson, quote, Mr. Unlimited, in quote?
Yeah, I'll don't worry.
That's part of your
That will go up behind me.
Unlimited.
That will go up behind me.
I
I don't know if you knew this, but we're Mr. Unlimited. We're the #1 sports podcast. People will see it, and they'll be like, oh, there's Russ. And you're a Badger for life, not a wolf pack, whatever the hell you say.
Yeah, do you consider yourself part of what is it, wolf pack?
No, he says pack, pack of Badgers.
It is.
Badgers
it's
is
the
the
cradle.
important part.
It's the cradle of quarterbacks. You've got Phillip Rivers, Mike Glennon. Everybody went to NC State.
Yeah, there's some good quarterbacks out of NC State, and then also Jacoby Brissett went there too. And
yep.
So there's some good quarterbacks for sure, and obviously Phil is one of the best to ever play this game. You know, for me, he wore 17. It was funny because when I was in college. When I was in high school and I committed to NC State, I never forget going to a game and they had Roman Gabriel's number retired, up there on the rafters or whatever, and they had Phillip Rivers. And I told my dad, this is right before he got really sick. I'll never forget, I was in a Dick's Sporting Goods at the time in Richmond, Virginia, and I told my dad, I said, hey Dad, I'm gonna have my number, retired there one day. And I got the number 16 and all that, and so I was wearing that number, but I never forget, I wanted that number to be special, 16, because 16, 17, 18. And, so it was a pretty cool time. And I think, the thing for me, though, is that outside, one of the best things about NC State for me was, I didn't know my dad was going to get sick. My dad got terribly sick. He had to get his leg amputated. He had diabetes, and it was a heavy thing. My dad used to always say to me, son, why not you? Why not you? Why not you become this? Why not you become that? And that was why we created our Why Not You Foundation, because there was that driving force behind everything in my life, to be honest with you. So my dad gets really sick, gets his leg amputated, suffers a stroke, goes into a coma. They said he's not going to live for another, not going to live at all, after, 12 or 18 or more hours left to live. And my mom, calls me crying. She says, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I got all this tons of faith. And sure enough, she calls me about an hour and a half later, and she says, he wouldn't believe it. He moved. He woke up out of it. I started praying, and he started singing him a song. The next thing you know, he wakes up right in front of the doctors. And even though when he woke up, the doctor said he would never be able to see a game. He'd never be able to see anything again. He'd never be able to talk again. Well, if God isn't so amazing, he was able to walk. He was able to come see a game. He was able to come see my games. And if I wasn't at NC State, he wouldn't have been able to see that. So I was placed there for a reason, in that time period. And every Thursday night, I would drive, not every Thursday night, but a lot of the Thursday nights, I would drive up from NC State to Richmond, Virginia, which is about 2.5 hour drive, so I could go see my dad. And I had an opportunity to go to Florida State, actually. Jimbo Fisher actually called me during the whole transition of everything, and I was a good baseball player too, and so I was going to be able to play two sports there potentially. And Chuck Amato had just went to Florida State as well, and so that's where that opportunity. But I ended up sticking there, and it was one of the best times of my life, obviously being at NC State, but also it kept me close to my dad. And then once my dad passed away, I never forget this little quiet whisper in my ear. My dad, when I was young, he'd say, son, and I'd be sitting there, I'd be 9, 10 years old. He'd be like, son, you got to go to the school, Wisconsin. And I'm like, I don't even know where Wisconsin's on the map. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I'm like, where's Wisconsin? I'm not going there, And he said, there's this great coach there. This guy, Barry Alvarez, the Hall of Fame coach. You gotta play for Barry Alvarez one day. Well, dang sure if I didn't know enough, Brett Bielema calls me during my whole transition of, pro baseball in college, and he says, I want you to come up here and all that stuff. And I get to, and I start thinking about my dad, and I go there to that campus. It was June 9th, 2010. June 9th, 2011. My dad passed away June 9th, 2010. June 9th, 2011, I go to fly to Wisco. I get there, and sure enough, I don't meet Barry Alvarez, and that's when I knew. I was like, this is a year later after my dad passed away. I said, this is where I'm supposed to play.
That's awesome.
It's a crazy story. So, and the thing is, I drove a U-Haul 16 and a half hours from where I was all the way up to Madison, Wisconsin. I pull up to park at Camp Randall. And the street I pull up on, there's a street called Breeze Street, spelled Brees, Breeze Street. And I'm like, once again, it's another sign, because Drew Brees is one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, and guy that I really admired and watched play a lot in college. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, here I go. And pulled into Camp Randall, and I started throwing deep balls to Nick Toon that day.
That's awesome.
Love it.
You gotta wrap, because you have to do your podcast. But I gotta say, we're cynical guys. You're a positive guy. It's fun talking to a positive guy. We didn't even get to nano bubbles too. Are we still in on nano bubbles?
Hey, there's maybe some. Who knows?
Well,
Okay, all right.
Here's a
Sounds
testimonial.
like we're still in.
Here's a testimonial. I broke my foot like 4 years ago. I drank nano bubbles. There's a picture of me drinking the nano bubbles
True.
with a swollen foot. 3 weeks later, when I had surgery on it, it was one of the worst cases of a broken foot the doctor had ever seen.
Yes.
He cuts into my foot, and he's like, "It's fixed."
Nothing
There was
there.
nothing to fix in my foot after I drank nano bubbles.
4 years after that, he beats DK Metcalf in a foot race.
Sounds like you're unlimited.
Yes,
I'm unlimited.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Mr.
I'm not sure.
Unlimited.
I'm not sure about that race. but
Yeah.
the hair's
No,
unlimited.
no,
Oh,
I
it
know
happened.
Hey,
It's
legit.
documented.
Yeah, you can look it up online.
Yeah.
I'll put the clamps on DK if you just don't throw any slants on
And
me.
I'll find that twin brother. All right, so Russ, thank you so much. Everyone go download Danger Talk. It was awesome talking to you, man. You're too positive for us. We got to go yell at a ref or something. But we appreciate it, man. And I will hold you to that signed jersey. I want that signed jersey.
All right, I got it. It's coming your way. The signed jersey's coming your way, and I'm grateful for you guys, man. Big Cat, it's been a pleasure. On Wisconsin, baby. PFT, it's great, and I want to see this race in person. But I'm not sure if you're going to be DK.
I'll tweet it at you.
Like
It happened.
like you guys said, yeah, all right, we'll see. And then, I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna take a lot of intel from y'all's podcast and use it on mine. Danger Talk is growing. It's been a lot of fun. We got Dwayne Wade today, so I gotta go talk to Flash real fast. And
Yes.
make sure you guys check me out on my podcast too. It's always a blast, man. I always support you guys. I'll always come on anytime.
All right,
thanks,
thanks so
Russ.
much, Russ. That was a mistake. We're gonna hold you to that.
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
did
How about
have-
next Wednesday? You
said,
free?
You said one sentence too many.
way too much there. All right, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Anytime I'm available.
Yes.
Anytime I'm available.
All right, see you, man.
See you, man.
Thanks.
All right, see you guys. Peace.